Right, we've got to talk about the Italian tactics. What did you make of them?
Well, obviously, I've been watching Trevor Chappell. Remember Trevor Chappell in the
Underarm ball?
Underarm bowl along the ground. Make sure you can't hit a six. So, well done to Italy. Very smart. Well, we knew they'd come with something. We weren't sure. They took the game to the nth degree today, and it wasn't rugby. So we haven't played a game of rugby yet. I think we might have to go out and train after this.
Did it ruin the game?
Look, I'm not critical of Italy. They did what they needed to do to stay in the game, and they did that. Did we react quick enough? Like, it's hard when you don't play rugby. It's like playing a different game out there.
You mentioned about reacting. It felt as if it needed half-time messages from the coaches before the players started to act. Were you happy with the way the players were reacting in that first half especially?
Oh, look, I think you can always be quicker. But it's difficult, One of the things, if your halfback can't pass the ball, the game becomes difficult. It's not the way we want to play the game. We wanted to move the ball. We wanted to play some good rugby today, but it was difficult. And, I thought our adjustments was good. We scored 6 tries, and as I just said, at the end of 3 rounds, if we were undefeated with a bonus point, we'd be doing handstands. So we're doing handstands. We don't have to do clean-out practice anymore.
But should you, after 10, 15 minutes, have gone, right, all those structures we've practiced for weeks, let's forget about them, let's offload, let's pop off the floor, let's take the ruck out of the game, so almost say to Italy, right, try these tactics, we're going to adapt to them and change?
Yeah, Chris, I think that's easier said than done. It's difficult because you're not playing rugby anymore. You're playing a different game. How can you have people standing in your attack line? And that's what was happening today. And even when there was rucks, there's still people standing in our attack line. So you look to pass the ball and there's a blue jumper there. You look in front, there's a blue jumper. There's blue jumpers everywhere. I think at one stage they must have had 20 players on the field.
And the ref can't see 2 things at once, can he? He can't watch what's going on at the breakdown while also seeing someone behind his back.
He had a terrible day. Let's be honest. He had a terrible.
So you weren't happy with how he performed?
Look, he had a terrible day because he wasn't refereeing rugby, and he's a rugby referee. So, he wasn't refereeing rugby. We've got to come up for a new name for it. No ruck rugby or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure Trevor Chappell would have been proud today.
But were you happy with the way Romain Poit interpreted what the Italians were doing and the way he communicated with the players?
Look, I don't have an opinion on the referee. He's got to look after the game. All I'm worried about is my team. And we've got Scotland in 2 weeks, which is going to be fantastic because they're already talking it up. They've got belief. They've got confidence. Confidence leads to better performances. Better performances leads to high expectation. And now they've got to carry around the burden of Scotland's expectation for the next 2 weeks. So we're looking forward to them coming down and playing. And I'm sure they're going to play proper rugby.
Do you think this might usher in a law change, Eddie, this game?
Well, I don't think anyone wants to see a game like that, do they? No one likes to see rugby not played in its proper form, so I think the World Rugby got to have a very close look at it.
But it's on this. You were the Australia coach when George Smith started to handle the ball as the first man at the ruck because the ruck wasn't formed. He was on his feet. He nicked the ball. Everyone said his hands in the rucks. He said, no, the ruck's not formed. So this is always going to go on while players and coaches look at the black and white in the law book and go, right, I can find a loophole there.
To a degree.
But do you understand that it's just the Italians seeing what's in the law book and being able to adapt to it, and then unless the law changes, these things might go on?
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything good in that today. It didn't improve the game. Like George Smith improved the game because it made people clean out better. And if you weren't good at cleaning out, you lost the ball. I don't think that's improves the game today.
Away from all of this that we've spoken about, what about the performance?
Well, there's no performance because we didn't play rugby. We're going to have to go out and train now because we haven't played today yet. So, if the spectators want to stay, we can have a training run and they can be entertained. We'll practice some clean-outs. We'll play rugby again today. We'll have another game.
Be rugby in 2 weeks' time in the Calcutta Cup, though.
Oh, it'll be fantastic, mate. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's just going to be the biggest test, you think, of the championship so far when Scotland come to town.
It's our next test. I'm sure Vern Cotter won't have those tactics that were there. He's a New Zealand guy. They like the breakdown. They like the contest. If you look at the Wales-Scotland game yesterday, what a great contest that was around the ball. That's a proper game of rugby. I feel like I haven't coached today. I'm going to have to give Ian Ritchie my money back.
Have you never been involved in a day like this then as a rugby coach in all your years?
It wasn't rugby. It wasn't rugby. Let's be serious. It wasn't rugby today. I don't know what it is, but it's not rugby.
Well, still a win, and you're still on for the slam, so well done, Eddie.
We're exactly where we want to be, and we've had a bit of fun today.